With the release of Rival's new Marvel Zombies mode, I got curious. How many characters in the game have been a zombie before? Well, it turns out 33 of them. So join me as I read the first comic appearance of every Marvel Rivals zombie. Our journey kicks off in the Ultimate Universe, with Ultimate Fantastic Four number 21. The Thing is 150 million years in the past, beating the shit out of a T-Rex, before we cut to 200 million years ago, as Sue Storm is talking to some terrorists who've stolen Reed's time machine, taking the first creature to ever grow legs hostage, though she easily takes them out with a force field. The group then travels back to modern day, where a huge swarm of reporters are waiting to interview them, as they've only recently gone public as a superhero team, and they seem to be enjoying it. Eventually arriving at the Baxter building, Reed going off to work alone in his lab, losing track of time and missing a dinner he agreed to go to with Sue. But suddenly a voice mentions that she'll forgive him, as it's revealed he's working with what looks like the main universe Mr. Fantastic. It turns out he's assembling a group of multiversal Reed Richards to stop some big villain. So he's helping the Ultimate Reed build a multiversal teleporter, which works and he activates it. But something's wrong. This other universe is covered in dead bodies, as suddenly he's asked, ever get the feeling you've been had? By the zombie Fantastic Four. Keeping with that storyline, we knock off a huge chunk of our characters in Ultimate Fantastic Four number 22. The zombies have decided to give Reed a recap of their backstory, explaining how the Sentry fell out of the sky, randomly biting the Avengers and transforming them into zombies, like Hawkeye and Captain America, who actually goes by Colonel America in this universe. Them going out and infecting nearly every other hero, like Wolverine and Rogue. They then reveal the reason they summoned the Ultimate Reed to their universe was because they ate the entire planet already, though for some reason he doesn't want to be eaten and runs away, actually managing to escape them and ending up in Times Square. Unfortunately, he's very quickly caught by a zombie Spider-Man, along with a massive horde, which includes Thor, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and Namor. Though suddenly, Zombie Hulk shows up, tearing through the crowd to take Reed for himself. But even he's stopped when a truck randomly drops out of the sky, Colonel America yelling for everyone to run, getting a quick glimpse at a zombie cloak, before more cars start raining down, crushing a zombie Doctor Strange. Suddenly, a hand reaches out to Reed, as it turns out he was saved by a still human Magneto. The duo heading back to his base, though it only contains 3 random survivors, none of them with powers, unless you count diabetes as a superpower. Finally, the comic ends by cutting to the Ultimate Universe, as the rest of the Fantastic Four discover Reed's teleporter, which activates out of nowhere the zombie Fantastic Four jumping out. And to finish off the trilogy, we've got Ultimate Fantastic Four number 23. The zombie Fantastic Four are trying to infect the Ultimate Fantastic Four, though they manage to lock them behind an airtight door. But Zombie Reed simply goes through it, nearly biting the Thing before Sue pops a chunk of his brain with a force field. We then cut to the Zombies universe, as Wolverine has managed to sniff out Magneto's base, the rest of the zombies showing up, including Iron Man and Storm, along with Giant Man, who specifically mentions wanting to eat the women, though before he's able to, every zombie suddenly goes blind, as the Ultimate Fantastic Four have traveled there to save Reed, Sue using her powers to turn the zombies' eyes invisible while Johnny lights them up. Unfortunately, Zombie Hulk also shows up, though the Thing mentions that he's always been curious who's stronger, and it turns out he is. The group manages to escape and reaches the multiversal teleporter in the Baxter building. Now, the original plan was to teleport all of the final survivors into the Ultimate Universe, but Magneto quickly realizes someone is gonna have to stay behind and destroy the portal so the zombies can't follow them, and he's simply the only one strong enough to do it, causing a massive explosion. The comic ends with the Fantastic Four arriving back in the Ultimate Universe, as Sue and Johnny's mother, who's been missing since they were kids, randomly shows up, and that's it for the Ultimate Universe. Now we get to fully focus on the zombies, starting with Marvel Zombies number 1. Magneto has blown up the only way out of this universe, and despite the explosion clearly wiping the building off the face of the earth, he's actually fine. Well, if you ignore the army of zombies about to devour him, including Moon Knight. But he is the master of magnetism, and they're in a city, so even in a 1v20, he still has the upper hand, slicing Colonel America's skull open with his own shield before running away. Spidey trying to chase him down, but he runs out of web fluid and snaps his leg in half. During the chase, Magneto also briefly gets a signal from his space base, Asteroid M, which turns out to still contain some survivors, though he won't get the chance to meet them, as eventually Eventually, he's caught by the zombies, chopping Hawkeye's head clean off before the wasp sneaks up behind him and bites his neck, allowing the entire group to devour him. After eating, the zombies start to regain a bit more control of themselves, trying to figure out how their new bodies work, but none of them are quite sure, as Colonel America is still walking around perfectly fine with half his brain missing. Spider-Man also starts freaking the fuck out, realizing he ate his aunt and MJ, though they quickly get distracted when the Silver Surfer flies by. We get the easiest character to miss in Marvel Zombies #2. The zombies have decided they're actually too lazy to chase down the Silver Surfer. Hank Pym sneaking off to his secret lab where he's storing a still human Black Panther, slowly eating bits and pieces of him to stay sane while working on a cure. Unfortunately, the Wasp catches him, threatening to rat him out to the entire group if he doesn't share. So he bites his wife's head off, though zombies don't taste good, so he spits it out. T'Challa suddenly wakes up, begging for death, so Hank leaves to find him more sedatives, before we cut to the Silver Surfer as he flies around the world, some zombies like Doom noticing him, as we cut back to the main zombie horde, where Iron Man is interrogating the group that ate Magneto, them claiming he died in an explosion and that there was nothing to eat, though Spider-Man crying about his dead family kinda gives them away. During the convo, we also get our next character hidden in the crowd, Zombie Blade. Tony then mentions to Cap that they eat way too much food as a massive group, deciding it would be smarter to split off and hope they can find some survivors somewhere else in the world. But before he can finish, the Silver Surfer finishes his tour of the globe, arriving back in New York to make his big speech about Galactus coming. But not a single one of them cares, diving at him as the comic ends. Jumping one issue ahead, we get Marvel Zombies #3. The Silver Surfer is desperately trying to defend himself against the zombie horde, chopping Iron Man in half, breaking one of Wolverine's arms, and blowing a hole straight through Gambit. During the fight, we also get a glimpse at a zombie Black Widow. Unfortunately, Hulk is eventually able to bite his head clean off, allowing a small group of zombies to devour him, realizing they've gained his cosmic powers. We then cut to the Black Panther, who's managed to escape Hank Pym's lab, along with the zombie Wasp's head, roaming New York before encountering Magneto's acolytes, the last remaining survivors of Asteroid M. The comic ends by cutting back to the zombie horde as Galactus shows up, asking where the Silver Surfer went, as the newly strengthened zombies charge at him. And our final character from this storyline comes from Marvel Zombies #4. The group of cosmically powered zombies are trying to eat Galactus, though he's a little too strong for them, blowing Luke Cage's arm off before they decide to retreat, using their newly acquired powers to fly around the Earth collecting all the materials they need for some big weapon. Well, except Luke Cage and Spider-Man, who just play Go Fish instead. We then cut to Black Panther and Magneto's acolytes, as they've mistaken him for a zombie, though he is able to convince the group that he's still human. Except Fire Fist, who still wants to kill T'Challa, him throwing the zombie Wasp's head in defense, and then getting into a fight with the entire group, though the leader Cortez calls for them to stop, claiming it was Fire Fist's own fault he died, and agreeing to take T'Challa back to their base, Asteroid M, where their scientist Reynolds studies the zombie wasp, while Forge builds T'Challa some new limbs. We then cut back to the zombies as they finish building their weapon, dragging it to Galactus, who's currently battling Spidey's Zombie Rogues Gallery, a group that includes Venom, which turns out to be a great distraction, allowing them to set off the weapon and hit Galactus as the comic ends. And you'll have to finish that storyline on your own, because it contains no new characters. The next one's appearing in the prequel comic, Marvel Zombies / Army of Darkness #2. Ash Williams from the Evil Dead franchise has just landed in the Marvel Universe, and is currently being held hostage by the Zombie Avengers, though a still human Spider-Man shows up to save him, threatening to bite zombie Hawkeye's brains, which actually works, and they swing away, though it's revealed that Colonel America had bitten Spidey, quickly realizing that his family is in danger and swinging away, surely to save them, right? Anyways, the Punisher shows up, telling Ash he'll help him survive as long as he helps Frank first. Help Frank with what, you may be asking? Well, he's decided a zombie apocalypse is the perfect time to kill every criminal, mowing down crime bosses like Kingpin and Hammerhead, before finding Thunderballs surrounded by zombies. Frank rushing into the room to kill everyone, living and undead. Unfortunately, Ash has decided he doesn't really want Frank's help anymore, and just leaves him to be devoured. While running through the streets alone, we We also get a quick glimpse at a zombie Dagger eating a meal with Cloak, before turning a corner to discover a zombie Winter Soldier attempting to eat Dazzler, Ash blowing his brains out to save her, before checking out her ass. He then reveals that he's dealt with undead like this before, and that he needs to find the Necronomicon to stop it. Dazzler pointing out they're in the perfect neighborhood for magic, leading him straight to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Though, unfortunately, he's suddenly grabbed from behind, and is eaten by a zombie Howard the Duck as the comic ends. Skipping all the way to the end of that story, our next character appears in Marvel Zombies / Army of Darkness number 5. So you know how we just watched Ash die? Well, he didn't. The guy that Howard ate was actually the Marvel Universe variant of Ash, not the multiversal one who fell out of the sky. Both of them just happened to be on the same exact street at the same exact time. Anyways, this comic kicks off as Ash Williams, Dazzler, and the Scarlet Witch have reached Latveria, finding the Enchantress held a prisoner. Ash decides to set her free, which wasn't a very smart plan. As it turns out, she was using magic to hide her zombification. Dazzler using her powers to interrupt the spell and reveal the truth, pointing it out to Ash, which just gets her finger bitten off, as suddenly the two of them are vaporized by Dr. Doom. He doesn't really get time to explain himself though, as the horde of super zombies arrive at the castle. Ash turning around to see Mr. Fantastic biting Dr. Doom, while a zombie Punisher devours the Scarlet Witch. Ash runs away, eventually finding the Necronomicon in Doom's castle, though it turns out it's actually not responsible for the zombie apocalypse. But Ash tells the book that zombies eat anything living, which probably includes sentient books. So the Necronomicon agrees to help him, raising an army of Deadites to fight the Marvel zombies. Unfortunately, the Deadites are way weaker, though they do provide enough of a distraction that Ash and Doom are able to set up a multiversal teleporter. Doom decides he'll be the one to stay behind to destroy the machine as he's already bitten, and Ash starts to walk through, though before he does, he chucks the Necronomicon onto the floor, letting the zombies easily find it. But it turns out they actually don't want to eat it. Hulk announces he does need toilet paper though, as we cut back to Ash traveling across the multiverse, eventually finding a new place to settle down. But it's the same thing again with werewolves. Hopping out of the prequel and into the sequel, we've got Marvel Zombies 2 number 1. A group of zombies have eaten Galactus and gained his powers, spending 40 years traveling across the universe eating literally everything. The group including Zombie Phoenix, who must have randomly joined during the 40 years because she was not there in the original story. They start arguing about sharing food, so Hulk caves Thanos' skull in, before they end up finding Ego the Living Planet. We cut down to Earth though, as Black Panther's grandson Kashamba discovers Hawkeye's severed head buried under some rubble, though weirdly enough, he doesn't seem to want to eat the kid, so he brings him to New Wakanda, where it's revealed the zombie Wasp has also stopped eating humans. As it turns out, the Marvel zombies' hunger disappears if they just don't eat someone for long enough. And since Hawkeye has been buried for 40 years with no food, he's no longer hungry. But he's also a little insane. Like he won't let them take off his mask because he thinks it's his skin now. We then cut to Magneto's acolytes, who've essentially turned into a cult, led by Fabian Cortez's son, deciding T'Challa is too old to lead them, and setting up an assassination, which almost works, though the zombie Wasp shows up, saving T'Challa's life by turning him into a zombie. The duo devouring the assassin before we cut back to the cosmic zombies, who finished eating Ego and are heading back to Earth. I hope you didn't care about that storyline, because there's no new characters in it. Instead, we've got to hop over to the threequel, Marvel Zombies 3, number 3. The Multiversal Protection Agency, Armor, has sent 2 of its agents, Machine Man and Jocasta, into the Marvel Zombies universe to research the virus and hopefully develop a cure. Unfortunately, they've been separated, Jocasta waiting at the extract point while Machine Man is stuck in the middle of the zombie Kingpin's human cloning facility, fighting through a massive army of zombified villains, before discovering a brain-damaged zombie Doctor Strange, who can only cast 2 spells now, sparkly sky orbs, and a portal to the dimensional crossroads, which coincidentally happens to be where Armor's base is. The Kingpin revealing he sent a zombie Morbius to replace the real Morbius who worked at Armor, planning to infect the entire group and then take control of the multiverse. Machine Man thanks Fisk for monologuing his entire plan and attempts to escape, trying to radio Jocasta, though his his communications are jammed by the zombie Scarlet Witch using vision. Luckily, he's able to steal the zombie Ghost Rider's bike and rides it back to the extract point. Well, he almost makes it, but some speedsters chase after him, Whizzer diving straight into his wheels, causing him to crash. The comic ending with the extract team arriving to save Jocasta, while a broken machine man burns in the street. We've got the strangest prequel ever in Marvel Zombies Evil Evolution #1. It starts with the zombie Fantastic Four trying to find an alternate universe they can invade, briefly connecting to an ape universe, sending a small group of zombies in, though they're easily beaten and have to retreat. But suddenly, some ape-based heroes appear in their universe, fighting against the zombies, before a portal opens and the Ape Vengers fall through. A massive battle ensues, with both sides losing a bunch of members, before the zombies eventually decide to run away. Spider Monkey starts talking to the first group of apes who appeared, and it turns out they actually aren't from the ape universe. They're all main universe characters with ape-based powers, who were trying to help Ape Speedball return to his home universe. And because the zombies were also teleporting to the ape universe at the exact same time, some sciencey shit happened and they got stuck in the middle. Spider Monkey then reveals the reason the Ape Vengers came was because the small group of zombies from the beginning, even though they lost, had managed to infect Iron Mandrill, so they've reopened the portal to Ape Venge him. The first group of apes and Spider Monkey team up, running into Magneto, though it turns out Mr. Fantastic's severed head was following them. But instead of infecting them, he offers to help build a time machine that could stop the zombie outbreak from happening in the first place. He wasn't the only one following the group though, as Red Ghost also shows up, pissed off that the zombies are killing this new group of apes, and helping to provide a distraction so the main group can escape to the Baxter building. Unfortunately, on the way, they run into the Squirrel-a-Gig, and are jumped by Zombie Squirrel Girl, but they massively outnumber her and easily win, though not before she's able to infect the Gibbon, who ends up also infecting Ape Speedball, Magneto instantly putting a spike through both of their heads, before finally arriving at the Baxter building, and managing to build the time machine. As soon as all the sciencey shit is done though, Apex blows up the zombie Mr. Fantastic, and gets ready to head on through, but it turns out, the way the time machine is set up, anyone who doesn't go through will still remember what happened, but the person who actually resets time will also be reset themselves. Gorilla Girl deciding she's gonna make the sacrifice, kneeing Apex in the crotch before walking into the past. But instead of stopping the zombies from being created, all she does is stop the apes from building the machine that allowed the zombies to find their universe in the first place. The comic ending back where it started, with the zombie Fantastic Four looking for a universe, and finding one with regular humans. And that's it for the original Marvel Zombies universe. Everything after this point takes place in alternate universes, like Marvel Zombies Destroy #4. It's World War II and a new faction has shown up, zombies, which turn out to easily win the war. The Multiversal Protection Agency, Armor, sending in a team to help contain the threat. Unfortunately, it turns out the zombies didn't come from Earth. They were created by Loki, as part of a prank to ruin Thor's favorite planet. What he didn't expect, though, was that Odin would travel to Earth to protect it, being bitten in the process and infecting every Asgardian, including Hela, leaving only Loki as the final survivor, now realizing his error and teaming up with Armor to stop them. The Asgardians end up quickly discovering the train the group is traveling on, though luckily, Loki used magic to hide them inside of a chest, allowing them to pop out after the gods leave, and sneak into a nearby zombie Hydra base by disguising Dum Dum Dugan as a zombie. However, the rest of the group has to get in the old-fashioned way, a few members like Dragoon being killed in the process, before the comic ends with them discovering a zombie Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder carrying a giant bomb. Our next comic is from 2015, so that can only mean one thing. It's time for Secret Wars, starting with Age of Ultron vs. Marvel Zombies #2. The multiverse has been destroyed and rebuilt into one planet. This comic taking place at the intersection between the Marvel Zombies area, the Wild West area, and the Age of Ultron area, where the 1872 Hank Pym has just been saved by the original Human Torch, Vision, and Wonder Man, bringing him to their new town, Salvation, and explaining how they used to work for Ultron, until they realized how evil he was and rebelled, building a town that people could live in peace. They also mentioned that Ultron was created by an alternate Hank Pym, so they were hoping this one could figure out how to stop him. But since he's from the Wild West, he mentions that it's going to take him a long time to figure out this new technology, them replying that he should have plenty of time, because Ultron is constantly at war with the zombies, as we suddenly cut to the Wild West Punisher fighting a horde of zombies. suddenly being vaporized by Ultron. The comic ends with him talking to the leader of the zombies, Magneto, and striking a deal. And we get to continue that story. Our next character appearing in Age of Ultron vs. Marvel Zombies number 3. The 1872 Wasp is fighting through hordes of zombies, searching for Hank Pym, who's recently gone missing. Though he's perfectly fine, locked in his lab in the town of Salvation, studying Ultron, desperately trying to discover a weakness. We then get brief glimpses at the residents of Salvation living their lives happily, thinking they have plenty of time before Ultron even thinks about attacking them. Though, unfortunately, he's ready, having struck a deal with the zombie army to merge them with his drones, creating Ultron zombie hybrids. The comic ends with the Horde arriving at Salvation, as Hank Pym announces he's figured out how to stop Ultron, though the Human Torch, Wonder Man, and Vision will have to lose the fight to make it happen. Jumping into a new universe, we've got Marvel Zombies Resurrection number 1. Some of Earth's smartest heroes have noticed Galactus's corpse floating towards Earth, gathering a huge team to go check it out, quickly noticing a person inside his mouth, and sending most of the group in to investigate. Unfortunately, it turns out the person they saw was a zombified Captain Marvel, attacking the group before Magic slices her in half, though Magic is quickly grabbed by a zombie Groot. More space-themed zombies start crawling out, causing a massive fight which includes the newly zombified Magic. Most of the group is eaten, but the Fantastic Four nearly escape, though they end up running into a zombie Silver Surfer, who infects Johnny, so Ben stays behind to allow Reed and Sue to escape. But right before they make it out, an invisible barrier appears, as Sue had also been infected. We then cut to the War Machine, who stayed behind to watch the ship, as a zombie Thor suddenly flies straight through it. The comic ending back on Earth with Spidey talking to Valeria Richards, as Galactus's corpse falls from the sky. We've reached our final comic, so it's time for you to guess who the last character is. Appearing in Marvel Zombies Dawn of Decay number 4. A zombie virus has infected the Avengers, Groot and Banner being the only ones left, though Bruce is able to guess Tony's password and take control of his suits, giving them enough of a distraction to retrieve a sample of the virus and take it back to a lab. Unfortunately, they're followed by a zombie Rocket Raccoon, biting Bruce and transforming him into Zombie Hulk before the rest of the Avengers show up. Groot pulling the fire alarm right as Thor is charging an attack, electrocuting the entire group, which coincidentally just happens to be the exact cure for the zombie infection. The comic ends with them deciding they probably can't electrocute the entire world, and wondering if Professor X could help them develop a real cure, though he's a little busy at the moment.